Hey guys, if you're watching this and are looking for information about the MALITARY program, you're in the right place. Let me introduce myself. My name is Seth Fuller. I'm a juvenile attorney and a criminal defense attorney. I've been doing that for over a decade. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt working on my second stripe. I've been teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu every week for over a decade. I've owned my own gym at one point, and basically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts are my life. Now let's start with the name. MALITARY has nothing to do with military. It's just a cute little acronym I made up. It stands for Martial Arts Learning Initiative Targeting At-Risk Youth. Basically what we do in the MALITARY program is we take the concepts of martial arts and specifically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the gentle art, and apply and mix it with the cognitive behavioral therapy concepts of anger management programs. And we intermingle the two, and we use the concepts and the ethos and the community and the lessons from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we use the framework of cognitive behavioral therapy anger management lessons, and we relate the two and intertwine them to make a full-on anger management program that is pretty intense, but I feel will be very effective. And that's not just a hunch. There's science to back it up. Now, you probably can't see this in the video you're watching. That's fine. You can go at link below, or if you're on my website, you're already there. You can see this Google Slides show on there, and you can read the science. But basically, there's a lot of science that says Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically reduces aggression, increases self-control, and pro-social behavior in teenagers. So I'm not just taking a bunch of angry teenagers and then giving them the weapons to hurt people better. That is not the case. There is studies to show that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu actually lowers that aggression, actually gives kids an outlet for the negative things and a framework, a positive example on how to be disciplined, and gives a real life example of what an unhealthy ego can do and what keeping your ego in check and keeping your body healthy and disciplined can do for someone's life, which is improve it drastically. Now, this program is completely voluntary, okay? I don't want anybody who doesn't want to do it, and I'll talk about how we do that later. But basically, if you would like to do that, you sign up through the Vagaro app. We send you do a bunch of waivers, you sign a bunch of waivers, and then you got to do a pretty intense class of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and counseling. Now, the idea is to have this as a part of every gym where I don't have to do anything. The gyms do everything, and we train them on it, and they can make some money off it because all these gym owners are dedicating their lives and putting in all their time and money into these gyms, and I can't expect them to just trust me that this program will work and will bring in money and won't take any more time than necessary. And so I'm going to have to start it myself through 3 classes at a gym called Risen Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's in Corinth, right across from NCTC, and it will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4:30 to 6. You'll have to be, in order to be in this program, you have to be able to make it 2 of those 3 days, and then you have to make it Saturday at 3. And so you don't have to do it every week, and I'll talk about that a little later, but you need to be able to essentially most weeks make it 10 weeks in a reasonable amount of time. Now, let me be specific that this class is for people with anger management issues who have fights or assault family violence or assault public servant things on their records. We do not allow anyone with a sexual offense or a deadly weapon felony to participate in the MALITARY program. In other words, aggravated robbery, something like that, where you used a gun. I don't believe that's necessarily an anger management problem, and more importantly, I don't want anybody else in the program in danger. So if these 2 things that you're accused of and are on probation for, this is not the program for you. Everybody else, apply to the program, see if you're good for it. If you've already made it in the program, welcome, and I look forward to working with you. Now, there's going to be, I talked about this a little before, this is entirely voluntary, so what we have is a 1-week grace period, which is the instructor can turn you down and say, you're not the right person for this program, Or you can say, this is not for me, do three classes, and then decide this is not for you. In that case, you're just not going to be admitted into the program. It's going to look like you just decided not to do it. It's not going to be a failure on your part, so that you don't have to worry about it being dinged on probation for it. After that week, if you decide to keep doing it, at that point, you can be kicked out of the program and unsuccessfully discharged, and that could look bad on your probation record. Which, speaking of, these are the rules. And again, if you can't see it, you can go. I'm going to go over a few of them, but you'll have already gone over this, and you will go over these rules, which is essentially don't fight outside the gym, follow all your probation rules, and don't break the law, and just be a good, outstanding citizen, and respectful, and participating into everyone in your program. So basically, you just got to be respectful to everyone, participate, don't break any rules you don't know. The two things that I never say is zero tolerance, but are low tolerance, and you'll have to have a really good reason of why you either fought outside of the gym or you were lying about your participation. If either of these things are found out, there's a good chance you're going to be kicked out of the program. There will be a rare exception where you won't. So I don't say zero tolerance, but very low tolerance on those two things. The anger management program we're going to use is essentially the same one the Texas Department of Juvenile Justice uses, so the TJJD is called, which is the Anger Management for Substance Use Disorder Mental Health Clients Manual. That's basically a cognitive behavioral therapy map on addressing the behavior. But the beautiful thing about this program is not only do you have this lesson, this pedantic or philosophical and psychological program, but it is then paired with this healthy outlet with built-in community and built-in mentors, and they are all going to be related. So this is going to be a full-on program that will address many different issues that leads to these anger management problems, or these outbursts that get people on probation. There's going to be essentially 10 weeks that you have to do, and every week is a lesson. And so there's going to be things like breathing and conflict resolution and bullying. We're going to talk about all that, and be able to relate it directly to the things you've been doing the last few weeks up to the 10-week period. You can jump in at any time and catch the lesson. The one lesson is identifying your triggers, which is lesson number 1 you need to do before you come in. And we basically, at the beginning of every week, will be addressing people's triggers and all of that. So lesson 1 is kind of contained in every week, but besides that, you'll do all 10 weeks. You have to do every 10 weeks. If you can miss a week, we know people are on vacation, people get sick, there's no problem unless you miss 3 weeks in a row. But essentially, it's up to you to complete the 3 classes, the 2 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes, and then the 1 counseling class for 10 weeks in a row, and to make sure you've done every week on the schedule. And again, you can work with me or any of the instructors or the program administrators to make sure that because you missed out on this week, you don't necessarily have to wait 10 weeks. We could do makeup classes, you could do a one-on-one session. There are ways we could do it, or we could just say 2 weeks encompasses this, and as long as you do the worksheet and show that you understand it, then you're going to get credit for that week. But that's kind of the thing. I'll talk about the positivity in a second. But more importantly, the instructor is the final decision maker on credits. You just need to make sure you're making it to 2 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes and the counseling session. So you can go for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes at the beginning. You could do Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and you can do any of the combination or all 3 days if you want, and then do the Saturday at 3 counseling session, and then you'll get credit for that week. You have to do that for 10 weeks, so essentially 30 sessions. I know that's intense, so if you can't make it to Corinth at those times or for that amount of times, then don't sign up for this. This is a pretty intense class, but I believe that it will work. And I believe that the intensity of the class is part of the reason why it will work. The instructors are all going to go through background checks and through training, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Not only that, but they're never going to be alone with students. They're going to have rules to follow. They're going to have to be a good example. They're not going to be able to physically punish students. They can make them do jumping jacks or do shrimp drills or a lot of the things that we do in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but not to the form of punishment. This is going to be a positive environment to show kids that you get rewarded for doing good behavior, and the punishment for bad behavior is not physical, because I think that reinforces this, that if I feel wronged, I'm going to lash out physically. We're not going to do that here. We're going to address the issue, the underlying issue, address everything reasonably, and provide a positive environment for these at-risk kids, or any kids, to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in, and to improve themselves and learn the lessons that they need to learn. The instructors are not going to be allowed to alone. This is important. I don't want any, it seems like every religion program, anytime you get kids and adults together, bad things happen eventually, and that is not going to happen in my program if I can help it, in any of my programs. So there are rules. There's going to be essentially a camera there recording everything to make sure none of the instructors are going to be allowed to give rides to your student. You need to make sure your child can get up there, and we would love for you to come and sit there and observe, so there's no issue, no accusations, anything like that. And of course, no fraternization. That is a zero tolerance. This is the one place I'm going to be zero tolerance, is anything close to fraternization or inappropriate conversations between the instructors and any student is going to be an immediately discharge of that instructor. And so they just need to provide a good example and make sure that everything is safe for our students. Now, again, I said we're going to use the Vigaro app, and that's going to track both the participation and use to submit the paperwork, the homework from the students. And we're going to try, I have lined up to perhaps, if they're still available, to use a university professor to do a study on the success and the efficacy of this program. So that's the MALITARY program in a nutshell. I look forward to working with you or your child, and to hopefully change their lives for the better and give them a framework and a structure for their entire lives that they can always come back to if they get a little lost in the world. And so I really do think this could be a positive program, and I really do think this will be an effective program. I've seen Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu save so many lives, and I can't wait to show how effective this program is and to roll it out around the Metroplex, around the state, and around the country. And I can't wait to see see your students in my classroom, and to be able to help them and train them in life and in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can email me, Seth@TexasTrialChamps.com, or through the website, or any of that. If you want to donate, if you just watch that and go, oh, that's a cool program, what can I do? This is run through a legit nonprofit organization called the MFN Corp, and we use the slogan, just MF and give, and you can go justmfandgive.com or mfncourt.org and click on the donate button, and all that donation goes to the kids. I don't take a salary. Eventually, the probation fees that the contracts that probation is paying us is going to be used to help out, to pay for administrators and stuff. But as of right now, we don't have that. I'm running it for free, essentially, to show that this can be done, and just using the probation, the any pay or any of your donations to do these programs, which could also be helping in getting an extra instructor or two that they're taking times out of their lives. In any event, donate. It's to a great cause, and thank you for listening, and we look forward to working with you.